much. Joining us now, Speaker Mike Johnson. Good to have you back, Speaker.
Hey, Shannon, great to see you again.
Okay, so House Budget Committee, the vote failed on Friday. They're back at it at 10 p.m. tonight. You heard what Maddie said, part of the president's posting on Friday. We don't need grandstanders in the Republican Party. Stop talking and get it done. But you got to be talking with them to turn some of those no's to yeses. How are those conversations going?
They're going well, Shannon. We're on track, working around the clock to deliver this nation-shaping legislation for the American people as soon as possible. Look, all 11 of our committees have wrapped up their work, and they spent less and saved more than even we projected initially. This really is once-in-a-generation opportunity that we have here. So you heard there the update. The Budget Committee will reconvene this evening. They'll get that through the committee, and the plan is to move it to the Rules Committee by midweek and to the House floor by the end of the week, so we meet our original Memorial Day deadline. Now, look, Shannon, it's very important for everybody to understand why we're being so aggressive on the timetable and why this really is so important. This is the vehicle through which we will deliver on the mandate that the American people gave us in the last election. You're going to have historic savings for the American people, historic tax relief for American workers, historic investments in border security, at the same time that we're restoring American energy dominance, and we're rebuilding the defense industrial base, and we're ensuring that programs like Medicaid and SNAP are strengthened for the U.S. citizens who need and deserve them, and not being squandered away by illegal aliens and persons who are ineligible to receive them and are cheating the system. And look, the tax cuts, is critical. We're going to make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. We're going to eliminate taxes on overtime and tips, as the president promised. New tax relief for seniors on Social Security, and we're going to cut taxes on job creators. So that will help everybody across the country at the same time as incentivizing American-made production and manufacturing. This is a big thing. We cannot fail, and we'll get it done for the American people.
Okay, I want to break down a few of those things, but let's start on the issue of spending, because some of your members are not buying it. Chip Roy is one of those who's called this phony math. I want to play a couple of things. This is from Ralph Norman and also Chip Roy. They don't think you're serious about cutting spending, at least not in this measure.
Well, all I'm telling you is there's a growing number of us who, we don't like smoke and mirrors. We want real cuts. That's what we agreed to.
We are writing checks we cannot cash, and our children are going to pay the price. Something needs to change, or you're not going to get my support.
Okay, so some of these members, and they were both no votes in that budget committee, they'll be back at it tonight. They think it's gimmicks. They say they're getting perks now and pain later. How do you respond?
Well, look, I appreciate Chip and Ralph. They're good friends. We've had lots of conversations. We'll have more today. What they were complaining about, or mostly concerned about, I think, is, for example, work requirements in Medicaid. They wanted them to be implemented earlier rather than later. Well, so do we. The concern is what we're trying to work with is the ability of the states to retool their systems and ensure the verification processes to make sure that all the new laws and all the new safeguards that we're placing can actually be enforced. And so we're working through all those details, and we'll get it done. But I tell you what, this is the largest spending reduction in at least 3 decades, probably longer. It's historic. Russ Vought is the director of the Office of Management and Budget, of course, in the Trump administration, and he's made the point this is historic, as have nearly 500 organizations across the conservative spectrum, Shannon, fiscally responsible groups, and those who believe that we've got to turn the tide in spending. We are. This is our opportunity to do it. It's a once-in-a-generation, as I said, and we can't squander it.
Okay, so to the point about Medicaid and the work requirements and the delays on those, again, Ralph Norman speaking out on this, saying delaying work requirements for able-bodied adults on Medicaid to 2029 isn't progress. He calls it fiscally irresponsible and another sad excuse for the swamp. Why delay those requirements? And listen, you've got the whole objection from Democrats who say you're going to leave people without health care because of cuts to Medicaid. But what about this piece of the puzzle with respect to work requirements for able-bodied?
Look, Ralph and I agree, as does every Republican in Congress, House and Senate. Work requirements is a no-brainer. It's like a 90% issue on polling. Able-bodied adults who can work should work. It's
so
good
why
for
delay it?
Their own purpose and dignity. Well, as I said, some of the states have it takes them some time, we've learned in this process, to change their systems and to make sure that these stringent requirements that we will put on that to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse can actually be implemented. So we're working with them to make sure what the earliest possible date is to put into law something that will actually be useful. I think we've got to compromise on that. I think we'll work it out. But I can tell you, all of us agree with Ralph. I do, of course. That's why we're putting it in the legislation. But the point about the Democrats is important. Remember, they're going to. We don't expect a single Democrat to vote for this package, which means that they will be on record apparently supporting the largest tax increase in U.S. history, which is what will happen by default after the end of this year if we do not get this job done. We have to accomplish this mission, and we will. And I think it's going to be good for everybody, for the American economy. I think it's going to send a very important message of stability to the stock market and the bond markets, and as I mentioned, to job creators and entrepreneurs and risk takers who want to expand their businesses and add more jobs and increase wages. This will be the pro-growth economy that we have been waiting for and that the American people voted for. We're going to deliver on this, and we'll get everybody in line to do it.
Okay, you may in the House eventually get there. I know your goal is Memorial Day, but what about when you get to the Senate? You got Senator Ron Johnson over there calling this the Titanic. He says it's going to sink. Says he's got enough colleagues over there who believe that you should go back to pre-pandemic spending levels. How tough is the reconciliation going to be with the Senate?
Look, we've been in close coordination with the Senate for the entirety of the time that we've been working on this. We started working on this in March of last year, Shannon, so this is more than a year's worth of effort. I meet regularly with Leader Thune. John and I have become close friends in all this process, and we're coordinating carefully. The committee chairmen in the House and the Senate and the corresponding committees have been in constant dialogue. Their staffs in constant dialogue, so there's no surprises. The package that we send over there will be one that was very carefully negotiated and delicately balanced, and we hope that they don't make many modifications to it, because that will ensure its passage quickly. Remember, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that we need to do this by July 4th. Remember, also included in this package is a solution to the debt limit that is coming upon us, the cliff. We've got to get this done and get it to the president's desk by that big celebration on Independence Day. And I am convinced that we can, Shannon.
All right, quickly I want to ask you about Moody's on Friday. For the first time in a century, they downgraded the U.S. government's AAA rating. They say an increase in government debt and interest payment ratios, quote, that are significantly higher than similarly rated sovereigns. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says it should be a wake-up call to your party. He says you're hell-bent on a multi-trillion-dollar tax cut for the ultra-wealthy. Your response?
It's just utter nonsense. It's just like Chuck Schumer to create a crisis and then point fingers of blame. This is the Biden spending spree that got us in this mess. Moody's is not incorrect, but that's why that emphasizes the very need for the legislation we're talking about, historic spending cuts. I mean, this will help to change the trajectory for the U.S. economy and send that message of stability to our allies and even our enemies around the world. America is back. President Trump's one big beautiful bill will be passed, and that will be the key to turning this thing around. We have to get this done, and it just shows more of the urgency of why we're doing exactly what we're doing with the legislation.
Well, a rare 10 p.m. Session here for the House Budget Committee tonight. We'll watch that closely. Speaker, we always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.